Welcome to Let's Talk Kashrus. Today we are joined by Rabbi Moshe Farkash, Kashrus Administrator of Farkash ZNT in Eretz Yisroel, and Rabbi Shmuel Weiner, the Paisik of Farkash ZNT in Eretz Yisroel. Thank you, Rabbi Weiner. Thank you, Rabbi Farkash. It's an honor to have you here overseas from Eretz Yisroel. And it's interesting that two chutzniks, both of you are from Chutzlaretz, correct, are running a Farkash in Eretz Yisroel. So before we even get into practical applications for those from the diaspora who visit Eretz Yisroel, tell us a little about why you founded this Farkash and what your goal is. We'll start with Rabbi Weiner.
Okay, first of all, thank you for the opportunity of being able to meet you and talk on let's talk about kashrus. So when I became Rav in Eretz Yisroel and Ramat Eshkol, the American community over there sort of was lost, and they came to me and they were like, just how do we navigate this world of kashrus in Eretz Yisroel? We don't know what's good, what's not good. Some people say this, some people say that, so let's try to work it through. I actually in the beginning tried avoiding it, and then I got pushed into it, which is a story by itself, and here I am trying to get together information, putting together information with the help of Rabbi Moshe Farkash and others that helped us along the way to get it off the ground. And right now we service the Americans that come to study in Eretz Yisroel, whether it's a bacha, a seminary girl, a younger man, guest, in just trying to figure out what hechsherim are the same standard as the hechsherim of America, Akko, that we're used to eating, and which restaurants to go to, and what products to buy.
Now, Rabbi Farkash, when I hear that you service chutzniks in Eretz Yisroel, what does that mean practically? Are you supervising stores? Are you advising people coming from Chutzlaretz to Eretz Yisrael? What's the role of your organization?
Right. So we do certify a couple restaurants. However, most of what we do is services, meaning the people come to Eretz Yisrael, they want to eat at a certain hotel, and so we basically go into specific hotels and make a relationship with the mashgiach, and we get inside information, real-time information of what's going on behind the scenes.
Are you writing up a report on the hotel?
I'd rather not write up a report, but a lot of it also depends on the week. You know, Shabbos changes by Shabbos. That's the hotels, and then people still have shilas. For example, now this year Shemitah is a very big deal. So, and for an American, well, I say American, but we get questions Europeans, Australians. It's called English speaking, but for a chutznik, as we say, it's really a taboo. Shemitah is like, don't touch that. So it's very complicated for some kind of chutzlaretz.
Now you go into a hotel or a store and you basically review their protocols, right? You review what products they use, what rules and implementations they have for the mashgiach and things like that. If you're happy with a store, what do you do?
So we put it on our list. We have a list. That's right. We have an approved list, which anyone could contact us through our website, and
which is
ZNT Kashrus.com. And we have lists. We have a list not only in Yerushalayim, we have a list of restaurants in other cities where many different times throughout the year we contact, right, Rabbi Farkash, we contact mashgichim in other cities like Herzliya, Netanya we're working with very strongly in upgrading certain restaurants so that our people, when they're going to visit these cities during Ben Hazmanim and other times of the year, that's where they could go to. So we have lists from different cities.
Now what happens when you go into an establishment and it's not to your standards and you're not happy with what you find? What's your next step?
So the truth is, the question is what is not fine. In other words, kasha is really two parts. There's the ingredients and the processing of it. So it's what I try to do is we try to service the community, not to offer a disservice. So if someone wants to go to that restaurant, I could kind of say, stick to these products and not those products. Now, I know it's not an American standard, because in America, you go into, and I was discussing with Rabbi Weiner, you go into any small city, you call your Rav right, you're from Lakewood, you call your Rav in Lakewood, I'm going to Cincinnati. Oh, I know, my chaver from yeshiva, he's runs the kashrus over there. Call him. So in any big or small city in America, you'll have your local vad You call him, you'll go to his restaurants, food establishments, but in Eretz Yisrael, you really don't have that. So we kind of created your local vad for people coming from Chutz La'aretz. So, and we do kind of want to service them. So to tell people that, don't eat anything, it's very complicated, especially because Eretz Yisrael is a vacation. People are going on vacation. Right. So I try to hit the happy medium, as they say.
Now that segues very well to what I wanted to ask next, and that is, what would you say is the primary difference, based on your knowledge, experience, between Eretz Yisroel and Chutz La'aretz when it comes to kashrus? And I'm talking about both the implementation of the kashrus, the cultural differences. What do you find? And I want both of you to answer.
So in the implementation of the protocols, it's far different. In Eretz Yisroel, they're just keeping to the rules is for some reason a difficult task on many of them, especially when you're working with a Israeli, and not just a from Israeli, but a non-from Israeli who thinks he knows everything about kashrus because he's been already involved in some kind of kashrus in his restaurant for 8 years, and now all of a sudden you're telling him that you need to have mashgiach tmidi and a mashgiach turning on the fires, and he's like, whoa, what's going on here? I've been kashering my thing by spritzing with a hose. We walked into a place, the guy has a hose of hot water, spritzing it on the table, he's kashering the table. He says, I did that in the army. So they have their ideas already. So in a way, they're complying to the rules is hard. Now, I'm not saying all places are like that. There are some very good places, but the places that we're heading towards, we're up against that. The cultural in general is a sort of a culture of we could do it. Just bring us the business, bring us the Americans, and then we'll take care of it. No. In America, first you need to set yourself up, and then we'll send you the customers. Over the air, to tell the owner of the restaurant, you want more Americans, bring in a professional chef. He's like, what do you mean? I'm a professional chef. There's a whole difference in so that plays over in kashrus, which makes things harder for the American to navigate. I want to say another point also, that even though politics is not the answer to the question, it's not all politics, but there is a lot of politics, which creates a lot of non-transparency, which over here in America, kashrus organizations are very transparent. Over there, everyone's trying to hide from the other one, which makes it harder.
Why are they hiding from the other one? Because
everyone's worried that if the other one find out this, he'll blackmail with that. There's that.
It's much more competitive between the agencies.
We don't have echo
between the agencies, you find much more competitiveness.
That's
Rabbi Farkash, what do you find, in short, the difference between the kashrus situation in Eretz Yisroel as opposed to Chutz La'aretz?
I think transparency is a big thing. Also, I think the culture in Eretz Yisrael is very relaxed. In America, restaurants, I work for one of the 5 towns. I work for Reb Fisherman at the CRC. There's protocols, there's checklists. In a storage room where there's products get delivered, and sometimes it's wrong. There's a returns, let's call it, area. In Eretz Yisrael, I went into a restaurant and I was like, there's a bunch of products that I know are not approved by that hashgacha. So I said, how do you deal with that? He said, no, the chef knows which is not. And we're talking about a situation where in America, you won't find a fleishik restaurant without a mashgiach tmidi. Right. In Eretz Yisrael, you'll be surprised to find a fleishik restaurant with a mashgiach tmidi. Wow. So again, they have ne'eman kashrut, they have systems in place. It's just a different, again, everyone's Jewish. Everyone knows the halacha.
And like Rabbi Weiner said, that's a detriment. That's not a milo over here, because people are making assumptions based on the fact that they are Jewish and things like that. And I'll add that when people from Chutz La'aretz go to Eretz Yisroel, especially if they're not knowledgeable and they see Hebrew letters and they see Rabbanot and they see Badatz, these terms are thrown around so freely, and they may not know anything, that there are different levels of Rabbanot, and that Badatz is really meaningless without knowing what badatz it is, right?
One of the most common lines they give you is kol ha-bedatzim. We use kol bedatzim, and the American thinks, oh, must be bedatz. Now, bedatz could be any three people. Us three are already a bedatz. So, there you go.
Got it.
So, they'll tell you kol ha-bedatzim, or they'll say we have the hechsher of Reuben and Eda Charedis. Now, you're not going to find one restaurant with those two hechsherim together. So, what they meant to say was our meat is Reuben and Eda Charedis, but what about all the rest of your ingredients that they're not telling you? So, there's like a lot of information which for the American coming, he doesn't realize that I might have asked the right questions, and they answered me, but they answered me in a different language.
Right. Talk about mitzvahs hatzluyos ba'aretz, which I know is also a very important issue, because Americans or any English-speaking people from the diaspora come to Eretz Yisroel, they're not familiar with these halachos, and this is something where I know your organization plays a very important role, not only as far as information, but as far as education.
That's right. So every year we have Trumas and Maasros, where buying in certain places could be questionable with Trumas and Maasros. So people that have to be in those places, whether it's another city where there's no tap hechsherim, or at an event, a chasna, bar mitzvah of a relative or a friend that they have to be by, where there could be questions, Trumas Maasros. So we'll try to give them the different aids of how to separate on their own, or what to avoid and what not to avoid, what could be more of a problem or less of a problem. This past year and going into next year, still next year there'll be the questions of Shemitah, where Shemitah could be more complicated because you don't have these aids of separating on your own. Shemitah, those things which are asr. So that already, people do contact us, and we'll also offer this information, and we'll give classes. We speak to different groups. We speak in yeshivas, we speak in seminaries. We speak to the Avreichim in our neighborhood, just to give them the information of what to be aware of, where there could be, which fruit stores to stay away from, because they could be questionable about different types of heterim that different groups have. And again, in Shasad Chak situations, people will call us and ask us how to navigate that Simcha or that Shabbos. They need to be by a relative. Right. So there's Shemitah, Trumas Maasros, Erla usually is not an issue. And Hafrashas Challah also. Hafrashas Challah is more Chomer in Eretz Yisroel. So there we will sometimes tell someone they should do it on their own in a place where it's not clear that the mashgiach was involved in. You have a pizza shop making 3-4 batches a day. If you don't have a system over there, then it's very easily. So the mashgiach was there in the morning, but it's very easily in the 3 batches later they forgot to separate challah.
Right. So as we conclude the conversation, Rabbi Weiner, Rabbi Farkash, thank you so much. Just any Let's Talk Kashrus takeaways that you could give our viewers.
Basically, before someone comes to Eretz Yisroel, whether he's a bachar or she's going to a seminary, or even people coming as guests to Eretz Yisroel for summer, Sukkot, Pesach, should be in contact with us to find out which places are of the better hechsherim, where they should be going, and then when buying products, also we can help them with the hechsherim that they should look out for, and possibly which hechsherim to stay away from. And if they're in a shasat chak situation, we could also help them out with that.
Rabbi Farkash, anything to add?
You can always contact us at ZNT Kashrus.com, and you can always call Rabbi Farkash on his phone.
Well, I want to thank both of you for doing what you're doing, because it really is a tremendous service. Many people go to Eretz Yisroel, they really don't know. They don't know who to call, they don't know who to turn to, and now you've become a very, very valuable resource, and I'm sure many, many people watching this are now going to know, when I go to Eretz Yisroel, I do have someone to turn to, I have someone to call, I could get direction, I have an idea of what I'm eating, where I can eat, and that's really a tremendous service. So thank you for your avodas hakodesh and continued hatzlacha.
Amen. Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you.